Martin here from True North, speaking on the woman and the dragon in Revelation 12. For many years I did see it as something to come, but Jesus Christ came to me about 15 years ago and revealed the whole book of Revelation as his finished work. So I want to explain it where John saw a woman. There's two visions in this Revelation 12. He saw one sign of a woman clothed with sunlight or being pregnant, trying to give birth to a man-child who would reign the nations with an iron rod. And that man is Jesus Christ, because we know 12 verse 5 that Jesus is the only one that can rule the nations. And his mother is Maria, that gives birth to Jesus Christ. And she had 12 stars around her head, and she was standing on the moon. I believe the moon is always speaking of mankind, so she has authority, or her feet is on the moon. She is about to give salvation to mankind. And then she had 12 stars. That 12 stars, I believe, is a sign of the 12 tribes of Israel, or the people of God. Now, I do not believe in literal Israel anymore. I believe in a spiritual people, a spiritual Israel. That 12 is the government of God, or his people. And then another sign of a dragon with a tail sweeping a third part of this 12 stars. And it fell to the earth. So they lost their place, and then we can see that Revelation 12 verse 6 and 10 speaking of this great big fight against this dragon wanting to kill the woman with the child. But God came and caught them up, took them and protect them by his Spirit, by sending them into the wilderness. Or Maria and Jesus and Joseph was sent to Egypt, where they stayed for 3.5 years and was covered by the Spirit of God. Then we see that this dragon were very cross with this white, and he went after the people that came out from the Redeemer that was birthed, and he poured out water out of his mouth. I believe Revelation 17 verse 15 says that the water, John, that you read, you observe, speaking of multitudes, it's speaking of nations and dialects and tongues. It is people. So out of this dragon's mouth, that is Satan, represent on earth as Herod. And remember, the dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns, and so Satan has the same image as the Roman Empire, that was the beast coming out of the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns. And that speaks of 10 kings rule out 7 places out of the Roman Empire for that first 100 years after Christ, of the first century. So water came out of the dragon. I believe Herod's people and soldiers and men, influenced by Satan and her spirit, that came out of the mouth of the dragon, influenced by Satan, went after the woman and the child. But God took care of them by taking them into the wilderness, or taking up in his bosom. And then after 3.5 years, Herod died, and the water was actually swallowed up by God, the earth, it is actually God that took care of the enemy that was against Maria and Joseph and Jesus in that time. A third part of the 12 stars, which is the people of God or the nation of God or 12 tribes, people coming out. It was above the head of Maria. So I believe, like John 4 says, Jesus to the woman at the well, that salvation comes from the Jews, if you read it. And that means that salvation is first out of the Jew nation. The Jew nation is the 12 tribes. It is the nation where the birthing of Maria and Jesus, and then the church will come through. So that's why I believe it. But the third sweep, so I believe Herod, where he killed all the kids that was 2 years and under, it was when this tail swept and killed a third part of the tribes of the nation of God, the people of God. And then we will read that in verses 10, and I want to read that to you because that's very nicely said to me. It says, "Then I heard a strong voice out of heaven saying, Salvation and power has come, are established. The kingdom of our God and authority of the Messiah, the accuser of the brothers and sisters, thrown out, who accused them day and night before God." So salvation was established. I believe that this birth of Jesus Christ, when Jesus Christ became man, when he became Emmanuel, God with us, when he was birthed, when the Spirit became flesh and was revealed, the kingdom was established, and Satan loosed his power to accuse the brethren, because the Redeemer, the King of Kings, was born. But on the cross, Colossians, I think it's 3, that will say that, Colossians 2 verse 15 says that on the cross, God took care and took away all the power of the principalities and make an open display of him, took away his whole power. So this birth of this Son was the kingdom established, and he lost his place in the heavens. That is why he was thrown down. It was his authority was taken from him to accuse men. That is the sign of he fell, and not it's something to come or something many years ago when Satan fought with the angels and then he fell to the ground and now he's against man. This is when the sign of the two, the woman and the dragon fought, was when Jesus was born. He was born a king. He lost his authority. He fell from heaven. That's the signal. And then he came after us. Now, I think it is 12 verse 12 that say, "This we win by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony, and do not reckon our lives unto death." So it's 3 things that we have the salvation because Jesus Christ came 2,000 years. He was born as Emmanuel, God with us. And then on the cross, he took care of Satan. And Satan lost his war against us. But he came against us like he came against the woman and the child. But we will win him now by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony, because we believe in the salvation work of Christ, and do not reckon our lives until death, meaning we lost ourselves. We give our whole life to Jesus Christ, and therefore we have salvation. So the book of Revelation 12 is the opening of Christ, what he took care of us when he was birthed, and when God took care of him, and where we were birthed out of that, and we took care of the enemy. I hope this bless you in Jesus' mighty name. May God be with you. Amen.